Hello, I am Beline Carlson. I'm 6 through 12 secondary generalist at Nikolaisk School. I teach 6 through 12 ELA and social studies, but because it's a K-12 school, that means I get to teach everyone. This year and last year, I picked up a bunch of distance students from different places. And of course, we had been teaching remotely the year before that. But my distance program last year and then this year has been a couple of students here and there in different schools. And I have been working. My challenge to myself this year was to develop a more collaborative learning environment in my classroom. Um, this was a big challenge for me. When I was a kid, I hated group work. Now, as an adult, I still am very resistant to group work. It's difficult. And I know that a lot of students feel that way. And up until last year, well, actually up until this year, really, I didn't really require very much group work or discussion or collaborative work in my classroom. But we know that creating a community of learners is best practice, and collaborative work in the classroom is best practice. And some of the reasons why it's best practice is because it makes students accountable to each other. It decreases anxiety. It makes them more willing to uh, participate. It makes them more willing to engage in the learning if they feel like they have peers that are on the same wavelength as them. And it helps build relationships and positive relationships in the classroom with you as the teacher and also with other students helps with student engagement and student success. So the research is there. It needs to be done. Even if you did not feel good about it as a kid, or you have a bunch of kids who are like me and just can't stand it, it's still research-based best practice. And because we want to be good teachers, we do it. Dang it. Um, so, in order to baby step my way into this, I used Google Sites. And one of the cool things about Google Sites is that you can add different users as editors. So, you can create a group of however many people to edit a Google site either asynchronously or synchronously. And so, for my world history class, and I've got kids in Soldovia, Cooper Landing, and then, of course, my Nico kids. Um, where else? Oh, I had a student who was traveling as well, and they were on these collaborative sites and to finish their world history work. So every unit, and I go by the district standards with the units that I build for these kids. Every unit has their own page on a website, and the kids all add their content. This website is going to be in the description of this YouTube video. Please go and you can see this delightful student who's over in Cooper Landing. He's a ninth grader and he created a video reflection kind of touring around one of the pages on the website and discussing. And if you are going to be in my presentation at ASTE 2022 Crowdsource, then you would have an opportunity to make a website, practice uh, editing a website with the group and with a couple of my students, Cooper, my daughter Morgan on Sunday, and then a couple of students in the building at Nikolaisk on Monday will be assisting the the people who are joining us in person at ASTE to manipulate a Google site and then hopefully get started on building their own. So this collaborative project, it seems like a big deal. You're basically turning kids loose on the internet together, and that's terrifying. So I have some just some steps that people can follow in order to make this as as easy as possible, make it as painless as possible. So first of all, PBIS is your friend. You're going to start by creating and titling a template, so a blank site, and maybe do a little bit of building in the skeleton. So for me, like I built in, I could see on the district standards what the units were for world history, and I just created a page for each one of those units and over the course of the year. And Cooper does a good job showing those off in his video. So the kids had that. And then, I give them a rubric and learning resources and stuff for each unit. And usually what the kids do is they'll add that themselves. They'll add the rubric to the website, and then they'll create a little bit of a text information assigning who does what. I try to make it so that there's about as many topics in each unit as there are kids, and then have the kids kind of figure that out from there. Right up front, before you turn the kids loose on this, you want to establish norms. So you want to work with them, and best practice says that you are working with them as a group. So in a Zoom call, or if you're doing this with a group of face-to-face kids, you want to establish, PBIS norms: respectful, responsible, and safe. Like, what does that look like when you are on the website? And then also, you're going to explain that they're accountable. So one of the cool things about Google Sites is that there's a version history button. So you can click on that and you can look back through every single time somebody has hit publish on that website, and you can see who did it. And you can go through each version, and it's happened a couple of times with my little group that somebody accidentally erased somebody's work. And boy, let me tell you, when some unknown mysterious person erases the work of somebody else, there is heck to pay. So, we had to go back and look and see who did it. And of course, we knew it was accidental. And then we had to go through this learning process, and we talked about accountability and taking responsibility for our own actions, and why we feel defensive and why we have the urge to lie to defend ourselves. Oh my gosh, it was quite the learning moment. Lots of big feelings, had an opportunity to process big feelings appropriately in the classroom. All kinds of learning happens. Anyway, make sure that the kids have norms. Make sure that they understand that they are accountable and that you can see who does what on the website, so that there's no aha gotcha moments, because we don't want to surprise kids with the idea that yes, indeedy, we can see who pasted that inappropriate meme onto the website. Once these norms are established, then you can send them an editing link. So you can add them on Google Sites, just add them onto, there's a little button to do that. And then, or you can send an editing link, which my face-to-face users will have a QR code or a bit.ly that they can get on. And I think you guys can have access to that if you go to my website. So here is an example of online collective or collaborative norms. So respectful, and this is what we use. I personally am not quite there with turning the development of the norms over to my kids necessarily. I need to work on that personally, but respectful is that you be careful with others' work. You're careful not to erase or destroy somebody else's work on there. You're always school appropriate, of course. Any kind of visuals or text or anything that you add to a website on a school server needs to be school appropriate, and the kids know that. If you need to have a conversation about what is or isn't school appropriate, do that, because that's a learning opportunity too. Talk about code switching. And then they also need to learn how to be supportive and kind. So if somebody's running late on a project, or if somebody's maybe not posting the best content, there's ways for them to be supportive and kind and pointing that out. And also, people need to learn how to accept criticism and learn how to improve and have that growth mindset, so they're not feeling defensive. These are all awesome learning opportunities. All of this whole process, you're teaching kids things that they actually really need to know for the rest of their lives, and not just about the Neolithic Revolution, which, as it turns out, isn't really a thing. But, that's a different story. Responsible. Do your part, be on time, be thorough. Also skills these kids need to know, also expectations that you can explain to them. And then safe is protect personal information, of course. Most of the time, if you have Google through your school district, anything that the kids publish, people from outside aren't going to be able to have access to it. They can't just Google this stuff up. This isn't stuff that's way out on the internet. What I'm producing right now for ASTE is out in the internet. You can Google it up. It's searchable. My kids' website, I have shared a copy of that. So you can see what they've done previously, but you can't see anything new that they do. So, you do want to protect personal information and be conscious of kids' privacy, and make sure that the kids are aware of it and the parents are aware of what they're doing. So again, explain accountability. And here's a little GIF that I made about showing the versions and how you get to the version history and what it shows. And make sure that the kids know that. And then also, this gives you the tool of that you can find old versions and find old work and retrieve and restore that. So if you were in my face-to-face presentation, you would have an opportunity to go on to this website here. which will give you an opportunity to play with that. And then I'm going to have a couple of kids that are going to get on here to show and answer questions and use the tools that are onto this website once it's done loading. And the intention of this website is to give everyone an opportunity to add their notes. Well, to play with the website is the first intention, but then also you can use it to play with your notes and add information from ASTE to what you're doing. And I have kids downstairs playing online, so it's taking a long time to load. Anyway, so here's this, and then here's mine. The task list was to create a page for yourself, put a name at the top, insert a meme, embed a web page, add your favorite music video, add resources from ASTE, publish the site when you're done, and create a new site for yourself. That's what we'll be doing in the workshop. Here's mine. And this is the editing site. This is not the published site. It has all the tools over here to the right. So it has my website, a link to my website embedded with my presentation slide deck, and then the Dead South video, which I think is awesome, and then a link to a document I embedded into here with UDL learning resource ideas so that people could see like how they might play around with that. I'm going to X out of that to save bandwidth. And that is Google's sites for collaboration. Like I said, I recommend you get onto click onto my website. You can look through the slide deck and watch this cool video with Cooper talking about it from his perspective as a 9th grader and why he wanted to take this class. And yes, I hope everybody has an amazing day, and I hope maybe I get to see some of you at ASTE 2022 Crowdsource.